Have you ever stopped to think about the idea of being smart? Most of us were raised to believe it's something you're just born with. You either have it or you don't. But what if that's all wrong? What if intelligence is actually more like a muscle that you can build? Well, today we're diving into a really simple but powerful Japanese idea called Hansashi that parents have used for generations to help raise kids who are not just capable and resilient, but genuinely smarter.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to completely rethink what smart even means. Then we'll get into the practical stuff, the art of just pausing, how to switch up your role as your kid grows, the right way to give praise, and finally, the most powerful tool you have in your toolkit, which is, well, you.
All right, first things first, we have to challenge that old school idea of what intelligence is. The absolute heart of this whole approach is about making a shift from what's called a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. This is really the fundamental question, isn't it? See, a growth mindset is just the belief that our abilities aren't carved in stone. It's a really simple concept. You can even explain to a little kid, your brain is just like a muscle. The more you work it out, the more you struggle and think and try again, the stronger it actually gets. And you can really see the difference here. A kid with a fixed mindset will actually avoid challenges because if they fail, it feels like a final judgment on who they are. But a child with a growth mindset, they jump into challenges because they get that putting in the effort is how you get better. And this is exactly the kind of thinking that the Japanese principle of Hanshei is all about building. So what exactly is Hanshei? Well, it basically translates to self-reflection. But listen, this is not about feeling guilty or beating yourself up over a mistake. In Japan, the idea isn't to protect kids from their mistakes, but to actually guide them through them. The core belief is incredibly simple and so powerful. Making a mistake isn't the real problem. The real problem is not learning from it. Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put this into practice at home? Well, the very first step is something that sounds incredibly easy, but let me tell you, it can be really, really hard. It's doing nothing. Just picture this. Your toddler's block tower keeps falling over. Your gut instinct, your every fiber, is screaming to rush in and fix it for them. But when we jump in too fast, we're sending a little message we don't mean to send. It's basically, you couldn't do this, so I had to. But by just pausing for just 30 seconds, you create this incredible space. They might figure it out on their own. And that little light bulb moment of self-discovery, that's way more powerful than you just telling them they can do it. They prove it to themselves. But okay, what if they try and they still can't get it? They look up at you with those big eyes and say, I can't do it. This is your moment. This is when you introduce the single most powerful word in the entire growth mindset toolkit, yet. Just look at the night and day difference this one little word makes. I can't do it feels like a final verdict. It's a statement about who they are. But when you add yet, you totally transform it into a statement about where they are on their journey. It turns a dead end into just another step on the path. It's no longer proof of failure. It's just something they haven't figured out yet. Of course, yet isn't some magic wand you can just wave. What you do next is absolutely crucial, and it changes depending on your child's age. Your job actually shifts from being a hands-on guide to being more of a thoughtful coach. Let's just take a super common example, putting on pants. For a little one, say 3 and under, you're the guide. They can't really reflect on what's going wrong, so you just break it down into simple, concrete steps. You're teaching the skill without just doing it for them. But now look, for a 4-year-old, you become a coach. Instead of giving them the answers, you start asking questions that get them to think. Your goal isn't just a correctly worn pair of pants. Your goal is a kid who's learning how to think their way through a problem. So, your child finally does it. Woohoo! They get the pants on, they ride the bike for the first time. The next step is praise. But, and this is a big one, not all praise is created equal. The way you praise them can either build up their resilience or it can accidentally create a deep-seated fear of failure. So here's the bottom line. Praise the process, not the person. See, when you say, you're so smart, the child learns that their value is all tied up in that label.
So they start avoiding harder things because what if they fail? Does that mean they're not smart anymore? But when you praise their effort, wow, you kept trying even when that was really hard. They learn that persistence and trying new strategies are the things that actually matter. You're celebrating the learning itself, not just the final results.
So we've covered how to interact with your child, but you could do all of this perfectly and still accidentally undermine the whole thing. The final, and I would argue the most important piece of the puzzle, is how you handle your own mistakes. Your child is like a little detective, and they are always watching you. When you spill the milk, or take a wrong turn in the car, or lose your patience for a second, they are getting a live demonstration of how to handle things when they go wrong. Your reaction literally becomes their inner script. So instead of hiding those moments, you got to use them. And this is the Hanshei process for grown-ups. It's so simple. First, you just say out loud what happened. Second, you briefly explain why it happened. No blame, no drama. And third, you share what you're going to do differently next time. The whole thing takes maybe 30 seconds, but it teaches this incredibly profound lesson in real time. This is just a perfect example. I love this because it's so relatable, right? Instead of getting all frustrated or trying to hide the burnt dinner, you just model the entire reflection process. You state the mistake, you explain the cause, distraction, and you declare a clear, simple plan. You are showing them exactly how a capable, resilient person learns and adapts from a totally normal, everyday error. And this is exactly why it's so incredibly powerful. When you model self-reflection, you teach your child that mistakes aren't these big, shameful disasters. They're just normal, expected parts of learning and living. You're actually building a family culture where everyone is focused on growing and getting better together. When you boil it all down, this is the whole goal of Hanshei. It's about completely reframing what a challenge is. A kid who grows up watching you learn from your mistakes and then gets to practice it themselves in their own daily struggles doesn't just get more resilient. Their brain literally builds new connections. They become genuinely more capable. So I'll just leave you with this one question. The next time you see your child getting frustrated, whether it's with their shoes during that crazy morning rush or a puzzle or their homework, what are you going to choose to see? Will it be an annoyance, a problem that you just need to fix, or will it be a precious, fleeting opportunity for their brain, their confidence, and their resilience to grow?